Oh, good. Thank you,
All right.
kind friend.
And these are off right now.
I'm going to put my sweater on.
Check. 1, 2.
I heard that.
I'll leave it off. You want it? Did you turn it on, Howard?
Thank you.
Put this on me, Fred.
Yes.
Yep. I wonder if I'm curious if you know this. We'll see.
I don't. Friends, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for keeping each other well and safe and respecting where everybody is at. We're coming into this sacred space, and I know we're asking folks to keep our masks on when we're not leading, and even I'll be putting it on and off. It's a little different than how we usually gather, and for a long time, since June, we've been mostly in our tent, but our tent has to come down because There's going to be snow at any time now, even maybe tonight. No, not tonight. Julie, I promise. There you are. So, but we're glad that you're here. And we're glad that we can gather. And we appreciate your presence. And it's good to have you. We're going to be introduced to another melody this evening. So, Holly is going to guide us.
Let's turn to page 130. Page 130, Lechu Neranana. This new melody, brand new to Congregation Har HaShem tonight, written recently by Alana Arian. And the words in English just say, "Let us sing unto God. Let us sing unto God a new song." And then the Hebrew will be at the top of the page. Let us sing unto God a new song. And it goes like this. Let us sing unto God, sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God, sing unto God a new song. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Let's try those lie, lie, lies. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Goes like this, the Hebrew. Lechu neranana ladonai, Nariya letzor yishenu, Nekadma fanav betoda, Bismirot nariya lo, Bismirot nariya lo. Let's try the Hebrew again together. Lechu neranana ladonai, Nariya letzor yishenu, Nekadma fanav betoda, Bismirot nariya lo, Bismirot nariya lo. Yai lai lai, yai lai 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 yai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Let us sing unto God. Let us sing unto God. Sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God, sing unto God a new song. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Beautiful.
It's a nice way to begin. Let's turn again, page 120. We're going to light our Shabbat lights, bring light into our space, into this tent, and into our lives. So some of our friends, our bar mitzvah, Eitan, if you will bring Marilyn and Beth, Naomi and Julie, your family, some of the nearest and dearest to you with these really cool masks. If you folks would light 120, you can follow along. Amen. Friends, we're going to ask you to rise if you are able. Eitan's going to come up here and join us and lead us in our Kiddush. You can follow the words on 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon chinhilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehila lemikrai kodesh zecher litziat mitzrayim kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol hamim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon chinhaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Wonderful. Yashikar, you can return to your seat. Friends, you can be seated. Let's turn back into the Siddur, page 132, the very bottom, the bottom paragraph.
We bring light. Or zaru ala tzadik ul yishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik ul yishrei lev simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, b'Adonai, v'hodu l'zecher kodsho. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai, v'hodu l'zecher kodsho. Or zaru ala tzadik ul yishrei lev simcha. Or zaru ala tzadik ul yishrei lev simcha.
138 and 139, Lecha Dodi, the prayer of our mystics. This is Gesundheit. This is our chance to welcome the Sabbath bride into our midst. We're going to continue with the first 5 stanzas. After the 5th one, we jump to the very last one, and many of us tend to face the open door, and these days it's a whole open wall, and we welcome the Sabbath bride into our midst. 138 and 139.
She has lots of room to arrive. Repeat after me, Lecha Dodi, during these words. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekavela. Together, Shamor v'Zachor v'Diburecha, Hishmiyahu El HaMiuchad Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad V'Shemo Tiferet V'Litila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekavela. Likrat Shabbat, Lechu v'Nelcha, Ki hi mekor havracha ve'rosh mikedem lesucha, sof ma'aseh b'makshavat chila. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekavela. Migdash Melech Ir Melucha, Kumitzei Mitoch Avecha, Ralach Shevet Ve'emek Avacha, Vehu Yachamol Alayichem La. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekavela. Hidnari me'afar gumi, Bivshi bidei tifatechami, Al yad benishai betalachmi, Korva el nafshi ge'ala. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekavela. Hitoreri, Hitoreri, Kiva Orech, Kumi Ori, Uri, Uri, Shir Daveri, Kevod Adonai Elayich Nigla. Lecha Dodi, Likrat Kala, Penei Shabbat, Nekavela. Lecha Dodi Vikrat Kala Pene Shabbat Nekavela Lecha Dodi Vikrat Kala Pene Shabbat Nekavela Lecha Dodi Vikrat Kala Pene Shabbat Nekavela Boi v'shalom aterabala Gam b'simcha u'v'tzola Tochemune ham segula Boi chala Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pene Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pene Shabbat Nekabela Shalom Malachi Shalom Malachi Elyon Malachi HaShalom Shalom Malachi HaShalom Malachi Elyon Malachi HaShalom Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pene Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pene Shabbat Nekabela.
May be seated. 144, Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal ve'yitgadal Shemei Rabba Be'alma divrach hirute V'yamlich malchute B'chayechon uvyomechon Uvchayedecho Beit Yisrael Ba'agala Uvizman kariv Ve'imeru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba mevarach le'alam u'lam me'amaya Yitbarach ve'yishtabach Yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'halal Shemei d'Kudashah b'richu la'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran b'alma ve'imeru. Amen.
We turn the page.
Ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Baruch et Adonai, ha-mevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam va'ed Le'olam, 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 le'olam va'ed Ya-la-la, ya-la-la-la Ya la 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 la, ya la la, ya la la la, ya la la la
Page 148. Let's read together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chokhma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, u'machalif et hazmanim, u'mesader et hakochavim, v'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Bore yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Umavir yom, umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvin laila, Adonai tzvaot shmo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. On 151, together. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Let's turn the page.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kavod, Shem Kavod Malchuto, Leolam, Leolam Va'ed. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. You shall love God with all of your heart, with soul and with all of your might. You shall teach your children to grow, to love and to know what is right. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la.
May be seated. 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
Mi chamocha b'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, narata hilot osef ala Nora tehilo Joseph Malchutecha Ra'uvadecha Rokei Hayam Lifnei Moshe Zehaili Anu Veyamru Adonai Imloch Leolam Va'ed Adonai Imloch Leolam Va'ed Adonai Imloch Leolam Va'ed.
Again, let's turn. 160, Hashkivenu, our prayer, asking God to spread that Sukkot Shalom, that sukkah of peace, of wholeness, of comfort over all of us tonight.
And we sing the English on the adjacent page, let there be love and understanding among us as well. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Vehamidenu, Shomrenu Lechayim. Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot Shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
We invite you to rise if you are able. 164. Let's move into the tefillah together.
Yai la 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 Adonai. Yai la 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 Sefatai Titah. Yai la 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 Ufi Agit. Ufi Yagit Tehilateh. Adonai. Ya la 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 Sefatai Titah. Ya la 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 Ufi Agit. Ufi Agit Tehilateh. Ya la 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 Adonai. Ya la 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 Sefatai Titah. Ya la 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 Ufi Agit. Ufi Yagit Tehilateh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei Hakol, Ve'Zocher Chastei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Vezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Nechayeha Kol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiva Ruach Umarida Gashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeha Kol Berachamim Rabim, Samech Novlim Verovei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Baal Gevurot, Umido Meloch, Melech Memit, Umechaya, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Ata Lahachayot HaKol. Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kdoshim b'chol yom Yehalelucha Salah. Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
May be seated. 173. Let's read together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose.
May
all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch Atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers, and there may we find you. And there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch Atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. Our prayer for peace on 178.
Shalom Ra al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Ra al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Ra al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Ra al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol et v'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Ra al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Ra al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. tasim leolam.
Let's take some time for our own private prayer. You can follow in the Siddur 179 through 181. Choose a reading to reflect upon, or just take some time for your own personal prayer. We'll come together again at the bottom of 180.
Ose shalom bimroma, Yose shalom aleinu, ve'ala kol Yisrael, ve'ala kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Ose shalom bimroma, Yase shalom aleinu, ve'ala kol Yisrael, ve'ala kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Shalom bimroma, Yase shalom aleinu, ve'ala kol Yisrael, ve'ala kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen.
It's always after that prayer for peace and wholeness that we think of folks who are in the midst of struggles. Our Misha Berach is on the middle of page 371, and we think of people who are having a hard time, people who are facing illness. Our friends and family, to be sure, but Colorado's hospitals are full and people are being diverted again. It's hard to believe. We go through these procedures and air filters, our purifiers, our doors are open, we're separating you, we're keeping our masks over our noses. And we're grateful for everybody's participation, but it's because we're going to do what we can to try and take care of each other. And one of those things is to say a Misha Berach. If there's someone that you're thinking of, someone in your heart, someone that's on your mind, you want to share that name out loud, we'll just kind of go this direction and everybody can just call out those names. If you want to keep it to yourself, we still will join you in this prayer for healing and wholeness. .371 in the middle of the page.
Newer melody. Repeat after me, and then these words of Misha Berach, and then together we sing Elna Rafana La, or Lo, or Lanu. May you heal her or him.
Not in the book.
Well, but the words Mishaberach are, so I didn't stop you because the Hebrew's in the book. So, yeah. And El Navrafana Lanu, may God heal all of us. You can say any of those words, but repeat after me from Mishaberach. Mishaberach Avotenu Kor HaChayim Ve'imotenu Hu Yivarech Ve'yiraveh Et HaCholi Et HaCholi together El Narevana Lo El Narevana Lo El Narevana Lo El Narevana Lanu El Narevana Lo El Narevana Lo El Narevana Lo El Narevana Lanu.
This was one of those Shabbats. Let me try again. Have you ever written a sermon where, when you just felt at the very last minute something else you should talk about? Has that happened to you too? It has. Thank God. You know, this is one of those times. And as I was driving over to the synagogue, there was something that just kept coming out, and it's from the Torah portion, and it's not at all what I had planned, and yet it's kind of pulling at me. So now I'm going to have it pull at you too. We have this incredible text that is supposed to be a source of inspiration, and we also see things where we could be easily disappointed in our ancestors. And I'm okay with that. My kids will be disappointed in me. I'm saving up for therapy. It's just part of the deal. And when we look at these ancestors, even Jacob, and we are often referred to as the house of Jacob. Jacob's name is changed to Israel. And so, of course, we're the people of Israel. All of these terms, and we see Jacob as this incredible patriarch, Yaakov Avinu, patriarch, Jacob our father. And when we look at the text, at least in the beginning of our introduction to him, he really acts like a heel. And that's what Yaakov is. It's really, in the essence, is that heel. And I'm still okay with that. Because if I look at a big picture of Jacob, I see this incredible transformation where he becomes a God wrestler, right? He becomes Yisrael, the one that wrestles with God. And I know that he grows up from places where he made bad choices. And this text is so powerful to me because it's not just that, and I'll remind you, that Jacob, as a young person, is encouraged by mom to trick their elder father, Isaac, who can't see and is a little more vulnerable, and it seems like he's laying in his bed, and he has to be brought food, and he wants to give this blessing reserved only for the firstborn to the older child, even though they're twins, to the older child Esau. And Jewish tradition paints Esau as this villain. Esau is a guy that's a scoundrel. Esau is somebody who is frowned upon on some level because he goes out hunting for sport, and he's supposed to be this avid outdoors person, and that might be appealing to some of you folks in Boulder, but we're not really trained to have much sympathy for Esau or empathy. Even in rabbinic literature, Esau, in Hebrew, Esav, is code for Rome, meaning an oppressor. So Esau is really, in Jewish tradition, kind of this really negative human entity. But if you look at this text, Isaac gives Jacob, pretending to be Esau, this extraordinary blessing, this amazing blessing. And then Esau comes in expecting to get this blessing. And he learns that his own brother tricked him. Tricked him, tricked his father, and there was nothing left. And what does the text say? Barachini gamani avi, which is sort of like, don't you have a blessing for me? Where's my blessing? And my heart breaks. Didn't used to. I just kind of skipped over that part. Because I was always told that Esau is kind of the scoundrel. And Jacob maybe made a bad decision, but it's going to work out in the end because he has this transformation. But Esau makes this plea to his father, where's my blessing? Don't you have a blessing for me? And I think the Torah text it's so brilliant because we are trained to be antagonistic to Esau, and the Torah is saying, nope, you need some empathy. We're looking at somebody who is an other in Jewish tradition and whose descendants are going to cause the Israelites lots of tsuris. Do we know the word tsuris? It's a good word. Troubles, hardships, right? And still, we're supposed to have a tender heart for Esau. So on one level, we have a tender heart for someone who feels like an other or who has been othered. And I know that we often will talk about different kinds of folks who are feeling marginalized, but, I think we do that because, if we're honest, each and every one of us has felt like an other at some point in our lives. In some office, in some classroom, on some field, in some synagogue. Everybody has that experience. And I think what we want to say is, where's my blessing? Isn't there something that could be a tender heart for me? I used to feel so confidently about what to do as a rabbi when I was younger, when I had reason not to know anything. And now it's so much more complicated. Where's my blessing? Who have we left out? Whether it's from a synagogue tent, or it's going to be from my dinner table, or it's going to be from my golf something. I don't golf, so I don't know how to finish that sentence. What can it be? Where have we left somebody else who kind of deep inside is just saying, don't you have a blessing for me too? I think I'm feeling that because, as I mentioned for a version of Amisha Berach, that there are all of these people who are in the hospital, and we have congregants who are being sent home. They can't stay there when they need a hospital. And because more of us, certainly in this community, are getting vaccinated, some things are returning to some level of closer to normalcy, and it's almost as if this stuff is just becoming our next normal, and we can leave it behind. But somebody, friends, as crying out to us, "Don't you have a blessing for me?" And I know that's complicated. So, who are they? Who are they? I know within Jewish space, there have been lots of folks who have said, "I can't find my place inside a sanctuary. I can't find my place inside of a synagogue or inside of a Jewish community, and so I'm not going back." Isn't that the same as, "Where's my blessing?" Can we see and hear and listen and even sit next to, approach? You don't have to shake hands yet. I know we're not all ready for that. That's okay. But can we create an encounter with somebody else? We've been talking so much these last months within our congregational tent about a community of belonging, and I hear Esau. Could it be that maybe our sages had it wrong? I know this is chutzpahdik, another good word. I know that it's hard to disagree with these ancient giants of Jewish intellect, but maybe Esau was just another guy trying to figure out how to walk in the world and how to compete with Jacob. Or was loved more by one parent and kind of forgotten by the other. Maybe Esau had a hard time in Hebrew school. I should start to end this because now I'm losing anything that's witty. I think and want to share that there are people who are calling out not just to Avi, not just to their parents or to Isaac. I think they're calling out to us. I think we have to listen better, folks. And that's everywhere, including our congregations. No matter what house of worship it is, what faith tradition, no tradition, wherever we gather, wherever we can encounter, somebody is saying, "Where is my blessing?" And we have a choice to make. And I hope it can be a sweet and gentle one. Back to the Siddur. Aleinu l'shabeach, 586 at the bottom of the page. I'm excited I have next year's sermon for this Torah portion. 586 at the bottom of the page. We're going to ask you to please rise if you are able.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, שכינתו זו ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום, וידעת היום, והשב אותה אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, והארץ, והארץ, מתחת אין עוד
591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. Before we share these words of Kaddish and call out our names and our names of yard sites, I want to mark that Kristallnacht approaches, night of broken glass in Germany and the region, a night that was terrifying and terror-making for the Jewish community in Germany. We have lived in numberless towns and villages, and in too many of them we have endured cruel suffering. Some we have forgotten, others are sealed in our memory, a wound that does not heal. 100 generations of victims and martyrs, still their blood cries out from the earth. And so many at Dachau, at Buchenwald, at Babi Yar. What can we say? What can we do? How bear the unbearable or accept what life has brought to our people? All who are born must die, but how shall we compare the slow passage of time with the callous slaughter of the innocent cut off before their time? They lived with faith. Not all, but many. And surely many died with faith in God and in life and the goodness that even flames can't destroy. May we find a way to the strength of that faith, of that trust, that sure sense that life and soul endure beyond this body's death. They have left their lives to us. Let 1,000,000 prayers rise whenever Jews worship. Let 1,000,000 candles glow against the darkness of these unfinished lives. Zichronam levracha. May their memories be a blessing. If you are observing a yard site, an anniversary of one's death, or if you're in a period of mourning, we would like to share the name of the one whom you are remembering out loud. We invite you to rise for a moment, if you're able, if you choose. You can share these names together. We'll go around the room, we'll share them with one another, and then we'll return to the list of names from our community. We also share the names. In those first 30 days in the period of Shloshim, we remember Jonathan Krass, the brother of Stephanie Bryan, Sario Asuna, the mother of Beatrice Pestana Asuna, Joseph Cohen, the uncle of Carol Forbes, Horace Schwartz, stepfather of Aaron Miller, Ari Weinberger, the brother of Dana Weinberger, and our congregant Sally Schenkman, the wife of Paul Schenkman. Those yard sites that we recall for this week that has passed: Rita Farb, Laura Levine, Sophie Garland, Dorothy Boardman, William Scharf, Kurt Lehman, Harold J. Levinson, Mary Saragusi, Dorothy Price Sussman, Ethel Lesser, Selma Walzer, Florence Young, Mary Eva Graham, John Robbins, Clara Miller, John Frost, Marie Frost, Andrew Mark Brown, Jonathan Levy, Sheila Schnee, Paul Goldstein, Rick Simons, Milton Gersten, Naomi Miller, Anna Sundell, Floyd Urshel, Doris Balin, Alice Carpenter Timmons, Abraham Papers, Sidel Panner, Carol Korngold, Erwin Moore, Steve Zeigler. Kaddish is on page 598. Our tradition is to stand as a community. We invite you to do so. Page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah v'yalman divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yemeru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach leolam olamei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei d'kurusha perichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tush birchata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'yemeru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yemeru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'yemeru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to the bereaved here and everywhere. Let's say amen. I'll invite you to be back to your seats. Oh, thank you. Eitan. Come here. I want to tell you something. How you doing? Good. Of course you're good. This was the easy part. You're right. I want to say something to you, to your brother, to your family and friends that have come. We all have, I believe, the same message. The message, my friend, is you're okay. You're welcome. You'll take it. We think that you're pretty neat. And not only that, I think you're thoughtful and kind and generous of spirit. I think as you move into this next stage of young adulthood, I know it's a long while out, but as you move into this place, I really think that you're one of those people who can hear somebody else's cries. I think that you're decent like that. And I think your family is decent like that. And we've seen it, and we know it. It's really our greatest hope and prayer that your journey in life will be sweet and good, and will have many more joys than sorrows. We hope that your Jewish journey will be meaningful and compelling and challenging and still filled with camp. We hope that this Shabbat will be just a delight and a source of pleasure and joy and pride for your family. And with all of that said, here's a yad from our community to you. We know you're going to use it well tomorrow, and we know where you live. It's not very far from here, so we hope that you'll be doing it for many Shabbat mornings to come. Good Shabbos. You're welcome. Mazal tov. Any announcements? I would like to ask the members of our board who have these like little cool new name tags just to stand up for a second. Just to stand. We have not you, Dan, you're off this Shabbat. You're with your family. If you're new, if you're visiting, if you're here for all of your life and want to have a chat with somebody, here's a few of our board members. They'd be glad to just kind of make a connection, introduce themselves, share a word as you wish. And so will we, of course. And we're glad that you guys are here and continuing to be part of our leadership team. We have no other announcements. Anything that's important you can see in the emails. We send out lots around here. But we will be grateful if you bring the Sidurim at the end of this closing prayer, the Sidurim that will go back onto that little cart before you exit. We are sorry, we're still not doing the regular Oneg thing, and we still are doing some of these different changes and amendments while COVID is still present in our lives. But we'd be glad to say hello. And we're going to do that at the very end anyway. I'll show you how after this prayer.
Let's turn back to page 130, the prayer with which we began, the Chunarvanana, singing a new song to God. Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lechu neranena l'Adonai, Navia letzor yishenu, Lekad mafanav letodah, Yizmirot navia lo, Yizmirot navia lo. Lai, 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 lai. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Lie, 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 lie. Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, lai, lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai. Yai, lai, 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 lai.
We wish you a Shabbat Shalom. Before we go, I'm going to ask you to look around you and find one person you don't know. You don't have to shake their hands unless you both agree. And just introduce yourself and wish each other well. One person. Find one person. Good Shabbos, everyone.
That's funny. That's really funny. Mazel tov.